recording now. So yeah, let me share my screen. So you let me know where you can see my screen. Good evening, everyone. Once again. So in today's class, we are going to be talking about product research and the anatomy of mobile UI patterns. Right. I mean, all these ones are just English, but it's also good to know some of these things here because it's good to design. It's good to know how to design. That's one thing. It's good to know the practical. It's also good to know the theory. Why? Because when it comes to interviews, these are the things that you are going to be asked. These are the questions you are going to be asked sometimes in interviews, right? And it's how vast you know that you'll be able to like answer some of these questions. Because sometimes interview comes in a way that you might be very tensed, so you even though you read and prepare, you can get to the interview and you might go blank. But what will help you is when you've studied, um, when you've read enough, like those things just come to you like it's normal, right? It's easier for to be like out of the abundance of the hearts kind of vibe, right? You'll be able to use that to answer most of the questions that will be thrown at you. And in recent times, yeah, we have interviews that are run by AI, like bots. I've had series of interviews and they were AI that were interviewing me. So you can't dialogue with AI kind of. What I mean you can't dialogue is that it's not human being, so they are not reading your expression. There's no human connection, right? So it's the answer you give that they use to like judge you. So it's also good to know some of this theory in as much as we know the practical, like that's the application of it. And also, knowing the theory will help you in the application of it. Right. So today we are going to be talking about product research. Um, I'm coming. Sorry, guys. Just give me a minute. Um, see, trying to open my slide on my phone so I'll be following you guys. So we're going to talk about product research and the anatomy of mobile UI patterns. Right. How research dissects how to research, dissect, and construct software like a product designer. Right. So before you start any projects, one of the first things you do is you do your research. We talk about user analysis at the beginning of this checklist class, right? It's one of the things you do whenever you want to start a project, right? So today we are going to um, dissect the agenda, right? So we'll talk about products. I don't know why this guy is moving. We'll talk about product research basics, filtering inspiration, that's how you filter inspiration, mobile UI patterns, and then live deconstruction, right? How you deconstruct an existing app to form yours, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is designing in a vacuum feels the user, right? So whenever you want to start any design projects, whenever you want to start anything, right? You have what we call reality, and you have expectations and you have reality, right? So most times we want to design based on expectations. Sometimes when we are looking at the PRD, we're looking at the product documents and all of that, and clients or stakeholders requirements, you might want to design as based on expectations, right? Which is good, but there's also reality, right? Reality is what people are used to, right? Like the expected conventions, how people expect things to be. You understand? So there's a way we say, oh, this app, I want it to be different from every other app. To, I want this product to stand out. I want it to be different. All of those things, yes, It can be confusing when client is telling you, or um, stakeholders most times they're telling you we want it to stand out. Those things can be vague sometimes, in the sense that it makes it in such a way that you are trying to do so many things and then you are neglecting the reality of how the design is supposed to be. Reality means that what the user are used to and what they expect, right? So if you see down here, it says our primary research goal is not to invent, sorry, it is to identify conventions, right? So you're not trying to invent anything. I always say this: UI UX is not graphic design, right? This is not downplaying graphic design. Graphic design is an amazing field on its own, but it is different from it in the sense that graphic design is more or less sometimes like art, right? And when you say something is an art, it means that there are different ways you can express it, different expressions and all of that. But UI UX is more or less like science in the sense that it has certain principles that you must abide with, right? So you have to identify the conventions like the industry standards, um, specific opportunities for structural improvements, right? So you have to look at what are the things that you, no matter your creativity, you can't put you can't push this off the table, right? No matter how creative you want to be, these things must be in place. So you have to like identify those things and work with them, right? Are we following? Francis is saying yes. I'm not saying Francis. Blessing, can you hear? Are you following Blessing? Chiso, Flora, almost Shaliwa. It's been a while. I hope you are following. I hope you are understanding. Okay. Can you give a thumbs up if you understand so far? So yeah, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, whenever you are designing something, whenever you are designing a new product, a new project, anything that you are doing, in as much as you want to be creative, also try to make sure that your creative is in the confines of identifying the UI conventions, the UX conventions, and then the industry standards. These are things that are in place, right? For example, you see the way we have this, I don't know, we have this one on the right, this screen on the right, like you see, you have the home button here, you have the navigations down here, and all of that, right? You can't expect that because you want to design your own, you want to make it stand out, you now put your navigations in the middle. These are things that people are used to. Like people use other applications, so your app is not the first app that they will use. So you can't do something that will stress the user, right? So you have to stick to conventions. Then this is the next screen. Sorry, this is not the next screen. Come on. Um, sorry guys, please give me a minute. I don't know my slides. Sorry guys. Okay. Yeah, that's the next. This is the next one. Okay. So I'm back. Okay, never left. All right. So there's what we call mental model um, equation, right? So whenever you're trying to do your research, you're trying to work on different, you're trying to create your own design, right? We have um, one we have Jacob's law, right? And you see Jacob's law says here that users spend most of their time on other sites. This means that they prefer your site to work the same way as others sites are already working, right? Like the way they are used to other designs, they prefer your designs to work that same way. In the sense that everything that you are doing, ensure that you do it in such a way that it's something that is used people are used to. If you use Bolt, if you use Glovo, if you use Chowdeck, if you use InDrive, you see that there are still things that are common in every of these apps, right? In as much as they are doing almost the same thing but in different ways, they still have certain UI conventions that they are sticking to, certain standard they are sticking to. And whenever you want to work on your own app or you want to work on your own design, you have to also adopt some of these things. So if you see here, we have app A, app B, and app C, right? They look different in their different ways, right? You see app A has a different design, B has a different design, and C has a different design. But there's something that is common within all of these designs. The navigations. You can see that the navigations are common, right? It might be different kind of icons that we use for the navigations, maybe different buttons and all of that, but that one is common. And then you see the top bar, the notification bar up, is almost the same thing. Like it's almost the same thing that you have up, and up, right? So whenever you are working on your own design, you have to put some of these things in place, right? You have to like consider these things, and then you design in accordance with these UI conventions, right? So when mapping out your competitors, right? When you're like you're working on you're doing your research, you're mapping up your competitors and all of that. One of the things you do is you know the people that you're competing with in that ecosystem, right? So you have like for example, if you are working on a ride hailing platform, I think that's one of the things that is common in Nigerian markets right now. Before it was fintech, then food, now then delivery, now it's ride hailing. I know if you follow trend, you know that ride hailing is one of the common things, right? You know that your competitors are either we have Shotless, we have Link Right, we have you can say both, we have InDrive, we have I don't know, you guys can mention a few, right, that you know. So you know that if you're working on if you're working in this ecosystem, you have to know the people who are within that ecosystem. You study and analyze their applications, right? You see what they are doing, and then how are you going to comment? So you don't just say, "Oh, we want to make our own difference," and then we're just going to step out and do it our way. Even though you are doing it your way, you have to stick to what people are used to. In as much as people use both, they still use InDrive. So if you check most of our phones, you will see people who have both InDrive, Uber, all of those apps on their phone. So they use it like whenever, like okay, for example, if Boots price is too much or the boat riders are acting up, they move to InDrive. If InDrive, I know InDrive drivers, their cars are usually not good and all of that. So hope there's nobody working in InDrive here. I beg you. So yeah, I'm just saying that. But anyways, if there's anybody working in InDrive, the feedback. So you study these guys, you see that they do almost the same thing in different ways, right? They have different market strategy that they are putting out there, right? In as much as their market strategy are different, their designs also look a bit similar but different. So you have to study the design, look at the components that they are using because you know this week we are talking about components and research, right? So you look at the components that they are using and how you are also going to infuse some of these components into your own design, right? So you can see here we have then the other ring that you have there are the outer ring. You know, we have the inner ring, which is the people within your ecosystem. Then we have the outer ring. They are not like indirect competitors, but they do things similar to you, right? For example, um, Chowdeck and GIG, they are not like in the same inner ring, but indirectly they are competing with each other because they still do delivery kind of like indirectly, not directly, sha, like indirectly. Except Chowdeck wants to like expand into that kind of. So like they are like still people who do things similar to you, right? Which means that you need to study these people too, in as much as you do. Maybe they process payments, um, maybe they do payments and all of that. You study them. Okay, how did they process their payments? How did they do their modal? How did they do their payments history and all of that? You study some of these apps, and then you see how you are going to come up with your own. Because you cannot just solely rely on people who are directly in your field, right? You're also going to compete with other people who are in different fields. This is because, like Jacob Law said, users usually spend time on other products, right? So they are used to different things and they don't want to come to your app and then it's stressing them. Like they are trying to click a button, the button is not working, or their hand is difficult for them to reach a button. Imagine if you are putting your payments button up, like on the top left, like it's stressing them, and once it stresses them once or twice, they won't use. I mean, some people are like that. They won't use the app again because it's stressing them. Then the next thing we're going to talk about is diagnostic feature audits, right? So you have different apps. You have the app 1, app 2, and app 3. So let's say app 1 and app 2, they are direct contacts, right? Like they're in your ecosystem, right? And then app 3 is like indirectly, they're not like directly in your ecosystem. So some of the things you study, like you study their onboarding steps, you study their card views, you study their transfer flows, right? So these are like the little things you study, like okay, how do they onboard their users, right? Their card views, how does it look like? You study some of these things and then you pick ideas from different places. You come up with ideas from here, you come up with ideas from there, you mix it together and then you come up with your own. Their transfer flows, like how. So for onboarding, for example, how many screens, um, what data is required. So the onboarding for one app might be different from the other. I remember when we were working on a product as work, myself and Francis, we study a lot of the onboarding steps from different applications. We did for fintech because we were working on a fintech product. We did for fintech, and we also did for we studied other apps that were not fintech directly, right? So, but we were more focused on fintech because when it comes to fintech onboarding steps, it's kind of like way more uh, secured. Let me put it that way. Because I mean, when you talk about authentication and all of that, KYC and blah blah blah, so we have to do like a lot of study. Like, okay, how do these people collect their KYC? How do they do their KYC? Um, how do they ask for like different app, different products, different methods? Some people will say in their KYC you should put your house address. Some people say you should snap your house address or snap the nearest um, um, nearest landmark to your house, like popular landmark to your house and all of that. Some people might not ask you to snap some. So like you combine all of this one and then you look at your product requirements also and see how best you can fit some of these things into your designs, right? Then card views, how is the balance displayed, right? Like for example now, fintech, right? You check the card view, how do they display their balance? If you look at Kuda, I know a lot of people are hitting on Kuda right now. But if you look at Kuda, like they change their design, so it's not like before. How you see that the way the balance is. If you look at Money Points, it's different. If you look at OPay, is different. But there's something that is also prominent within all of these apps that I've mentioned is the fact that the balance is usually very legible and visible, right? It's very legible, it's very visible. So if you're doing your own balance, you should do it in such a way that it should be visible. Like people should see their money, don't hide their money. And then you can check other apps too that have balance or card display that may not be directly. For example, Shortlast is not like it directs with fintech, but they still have like wallet system. You can check how their wallet system look like. I remember we also checked Shortlast wallet system when we were working on one of the design. I don't know if Francis will remember, but I think we did something like that too. Then yeah, we also checked Shortland's transfer. I mean, is it history? I think we checked their history or something. I've forgotten. So yeah, that's that. Then inspiration source metrics, right? This is where you go and sort out for your inspiration. This is where you go to the markets, right, to sort out for your inspiration. I know a lot of us like we we go to different places to look for inspiration. Some of us use Pinterest, some of us use Dribble, some of us use Behance, right? And some the OGs or the real people use Mobbing, right? But one thing I'll always say is, in as much as you are going out to look for ideas, try as much as possible to streamline what you are looking for, right? Too much ideas is distractions, right? So if you have too much inspiration, you become distracted. You get to a point where you don't know what to do again. You get overwhelmed because you started. It's just like you're biting so many apples. You don't know which one to eat. Like you started this one, you move to this one, you move to this one. It's like this one is fine. You adopt it. No, just know what you want to achieve. Stick to the like what I said earlier when the class started. Stick to UI conventions. Some designs might look pretty, but they are not functional. So those are the things that will help you measure how to source out for inspirations. Like, oh, this design is fine. Is it functional? No, discard it. This design is fine. Is it functional? Yes, okay, you can put it somewhere. Maybe you use just one part of it. You might not use everything. You might just use maybe 5% or 10% of it. Maybe the colors or the gradients you might use that. Pay attention to the designs that are functional and how well you can make it look more presentable or how well you can make it look aesthetically pleasing, right? So we have Dribble, we have Behance, right? So if you want aesthetic ideas, you go to Dribble and Behance, you see a lot of fine designs, like it's very fine and all of that. It looks nice, but like I said, most of the designs are not functional. I'm not saying all, most of the designs are not functional. So you might go there to like brush up your UI, look for things that you can make your UI look better, right? But if you want like real user flow, right, go to Mobbings. Um, Mobbing is paid, so you might need to pay for it. I remember Francis was begging his company that time to pay. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I remember we were on their neck that they should subscribe for us because we needed to use it. But yeah, um, I would recommend you use Mobbing. If you have the subscription, you can do that. And if you have friends, you guys can come together. This is an idea. Maybe we'll try that in Checkmate one of these days. You can come together, do a like group subscription, and you guys can share the login. I think he has like limited users. You guys can do that. It will help you, right? So one thing about Mobin is it gives you every application that you use. I think we have it on Mobin. We have Netflix, we have Spotify, we have Uber, like almost every application we have it on Mobbings, right? And the important thing about using Mobbings is that it gives you every single screen, like every single screen. I know some of you say, "Oh, I use Netflix very well. It's like my go-to app." I can bet you that there are some screens in Netflix that exist and you do not know. There was a day I went to check. That was like that was like either last year or 2 years ago. I went to check Netflix, right? I think I had access to like the full designs, and there were screens I was seeing. I was surprised. Netflix also have game, so I was seeing some screens. I was surprised, and the important thing about mobbing is once they update the app, they will update the design too. So it will show you the year that the updates came out, the designs and all that. So it will show you end to end screen. So you can as well try out more things. It will help you get the right ideas for your application. So whenever you want to design, you go there, look at the people who are doing the same thing around that ecosystem, pick pick out the ideas that you want to work on, and then you move. I hope that's clear. Alright, so you can see we have dribble and we have production reality. So we have dribble illusion versus production reality. Right. So this is an actual app from Mobbins and this is dribble concepts. Right. I'm not saying dribble is bad. Dribble is good. It's good to brush up your UI skill to like give you good eyes for design, right? But don't spend your whole time on dribble because you just end up designing screens that will never be functional. And sometimes you build a portfolio, it looks pretty, it looks good and all of that, but once you like send it to recruiters, you won't get hired because those designs are not functional. They just be like, oh, this person know how to clean, know how to do clean UI, but it's not someone that we need. And you see someone who just design something normal, but the person understand case study and all of that, and you're like picking that person over you, and you're like, why? This is the reason why. So you can see here, Dribble has you see tiny unreadable text, like it's so tiny. Look at like you see missing status bar. There's no status bar anything. Unattainable contrast ratio. That's the space between this like you can see all of this one floating elements lacking structure like all this. I know now we have designs that has like floating elements and all, but it's not like this. But you can see like a live mobile UI, right? Like a live app. You see standard padding, 16 pixel, accessibility, typography, and accessible typography, sorry. Clear tab targets. You can see um, native app bar. Like everything is on point, right? So you should pay attention to that also. Then structuring the investigation. That's your mood board, right? So this is how you create your mood board. You you can do by flow, like you can say, okay, you check the complete sequence. You can structure it by flow. You can structure by components type, like okay, I like this component. I'm going to be using this component in my designs, and then you can structure it by visual. So um, for components, you can see transaction cards, payments, yeah, transaction cards, buttons, all those ones, they are components. And the reason why we call them components is because they are reusable, right? You are going to be using them over and over again throughout the life cycle of that product, right? And it can be updated. We'll still talk about components in the next class. Then, I need to rush. But hope you are following so far, guys. And hope it's not boring. I just hope so. So we're going to talk about macro anatomy, um, the navigation hierarchy. So in a design, we have like different parts. Right? I don't know if anyone study anatomy here, but we have different part of the human body, right? So we have different part of the designs too, right? We have the body, we have the bottom tab bar, we have the top up or header, like the top bar or the header, like at the top here, right? So most times the top bar and the header and the bottom bar are usually static. Most times, right? They're usually static. That's what I mean by static. It means that they don't move; they just stay where they are. And the body is usually scrollable. It means that you can scroll either vertical or horizontal with the body part, right? So you should understand this concept also whenever you are designing. You dissect. Let me not make it sound too complex. You just divide it into three different parts, so you know this, and this, right? Okay. So we have the bottom. We have different types. Um, we have the modal, and then we have bottom sheets, right? So this is called a bottom sheet. You know, we use this for recent designs now. It's being used for recent designs in the sense that if you click on something, it's going to come from the bottom to the top. Like it's going to like swipe from down up, right? I'm trying to remember an application that works, but I know we understand what I'm trying to say, right? Like it's going to like come from down up, then you can do whatever you want to do. When you're done, you can click. You click what's it called? OK or send or anything, and then it goes down back, right? So this one has, here we have the contextual tags, quick inline selection, easily swipeable to dismiss. So you can swipe down to dismiss it, and then user maintains background context. So you can see have things in the background, just that it might be a little bit darker because there might be like a shadow casted here. So you can see, you can focus on this one. We talked about visual hierarchy at the beginning of checkmate, so you can focus on this one. Then for the modal, it's just like a pop-up. Most people call it pop-up, right? For the modals, once you have something like this, so you require complete user focus. It means that um, it, the user focus completely on this guy, right? And then it has a temporary strict state. It means that that state is temporary. If you click on any part of the screen, sometimes it may cancel sometimes, except if they set it that you have to press the cancel button before it leaves, right? Then it completely blocks the background interaction, so you cannot do anything in the background. You just have to focus on this one. So that's for modals. Why I'm saying this is if you're working on components, you know that either you're working on this or you're working on this component. Alright, so you choose which kind of component you want to be working on. And you can also have the two depending on what you are working on. Right? For example, this one might just be um, a notification, and you can just pop up because you want the user attention. You can just have that, and then it goes back. So we have, we talk about, okay, we talk about macro anatomy, then we're going to talk about micro anatomy. Standardized form inputs. So this is like when you have input field, what we call input field, right? Places where you put like username, first name, last name, all those things, we call them input field, right? So we have like the label, we have the placeholder. So you have to know some of these terms, right? The label is what we have here. So this email address is called the label. Don't go and call it title. Call it label. Then the text inside is placeholder text, right? Then this what's it called? That dot, I be that line that will be blinking is called the caret, right? So that's the typing indicator. Then we have the inline error state. In case maybe you made any mistake, you should have this. So for your components, to make sure that you have some of this for your components, right? So if you have error, it should also. We're going to explain that when we go to components, when we start working on components. But these are the things you should ensure that you have whenever you're creating your form inputs. Then we have context pattern. This one is just design actually. There's nothing. It's not really deep. So this is a card, right? So in a card, let's say for example, a simple card, you have the icon or the avatar. That's visual anchor. You have the amounts and timestamp. See the amount and timestamp here. We have $4, and then it was today. Then you have like title and subtitle. So it might be the name and category, right? Then you have the card. So title and subtitle, this is it. And then you have the card base. So when you're designing a component, these are the things that you are looking at when designing a component. Most times, some people start with the title and subtitle, then they go to this one, they duplicate, go to this one, then they also have the avatar before they now draw the whole card. Why some people start with drawing the card first, then they add the other ones. We'll talk about that when we get to the practical. Okay, so we have the next one we have is system pulses feedback. So some of the things you should whenever you are designing your components, so because these are some of the things you design and you hand off to the developers, right? So we have skeleton loaders. If you look at most of the applications that we have now, they have skeleton loaders. It just what skeleton loader does is that it indicates indicating the shape of the data that is about to arrive. So, for example, if you go to your Instagram and then MTN decides to start acting like MTN in the sense that their network is not loading, you see that it will be blinking one rectangle background. You just either rectangle or line. You'll be seeing that it's just showing skeleton loader. It shows that something is supposed to come, but it has not arrived. Right. Then we have empty states. Um, no recent transaction, like you designed something like for empty state when there is nothing has happened there before. It's just imagine if a user goes, for example, user opens an account for the first time and he has not made any transaction. It cannot be blank like that. So you can just have something designed like no recent transaction and all that. And then you also design something like for transfer complete. Like these are just I just picked some of these things like some parts of the design. It's not everything, right? Excuse me. So the next thing we have, so we're almost done, guys. The next thing we have is operating table live dissection. So well, here is interactive workshop instruction. So what we are going to do now is, because of time, we might not be able to do this in class because I want us to do something. Um, because of time, maybe I'll give us an assignment and then work on it and come back to class. Well, let's see what we have next. So, you can see here, I can see these products here that everything that we have here is deliberate. There's nothing that is like hit and miss. There's no, oh, this is the nice to have. Let's just have it because it feels nice. No, you don't make those kind of decisions when it comes to you. Nice to have. Uh, that's kind of tricky. But then it has to be deliberate. Even though it's nice to have, it has to be deliberate. You don't just put things anyhow. Like, oh, let me just put it there because I just feel like I should put it there, right? So you should ensure that one of the things you ensure that it matches user mental model for finance app. So it means that what they are used to, your app should matches English. I'm so sorry. Your app should match what they are used to. So don't go and do something that is way different from what people are used to. It's going to be very difficult for them to use it. So you're designing something that people are not used to. Don't do that. So just design something that they are used to. I'm not saying that you should now go and design something that is mediocre or you can design you can copy someone's design. No. Just do something that they know that, for example, account balance is supposed to be here. They know that account balance, that is account balance. You know, like you now put account balance like this, you now put another one. Like you just mess things up and then you say, oh, user is supposed to find out. A good user will understand. Don't do that. Don't do that. So standardized input form. Make sure you have a standardized input form. Um, source from production reference. I'm coming guys, hold on. Sorry, guys. Ah, okay. So the bottom tab navbar, like the patterns, you should ensure that you have something like this. So your bottom navbar might not be exactly like this. You can have three icons, you can have two, you can have, depending on, but at least it shouldn't be placed in a different part of the screen. Let's say you want to now put your own in the middle. Don't do that, right? So these are the things that you should pay attention to, right? So I hope I'll be able to convince you guys and not confuse you guys that paying attention to things that you need to pay attention to is very important. And then go to Mobbins whenever you want to get good UIs, like real life products. Check out Mobbins. If you want to improve your visual skill, you can check out Behance, you can check out Scribble, you can check out Pinterest. I mean, you see a lot of fancy designs that can brush up your UI skills and all of that. But if you want to understand real user flow, how user flow works, um, information architecture, how a real app is supposed to run, you can check out Mobbins, right? Um, so there's some things I want us to work on, right? Um, in preparation for Thursday, right? So this assignment I'm going to give us, right? Collect two, 3 to 5 fintech app, right? You can check Dribble, um, you can check Dribble, you can check Mobbins, right? Anyone, and then that you just like collect some of these app, like you reference them for your, because we are going to work on, I think we are working on a product, right? So you're going to collect this fintech app 3 to 5, right? And like I said, you can do some that directly direct competitors, and you can do indirect competitors. But you make sure that you have more direct competitors than um, indirect competitors. You can do like 3 direct competitors and 2 indirect competitors. Like pick out this app, right? And then yeah, just collect these 3 apps. I'll tell us what to do with them. So yeah, I think that's all for today's class. I wanted to add something to it, but it's not take too much time. So yeah, that's for today's class. Is there any question? Any question, guys? Abdul Gafar, do you have a question? Kelvin, almost Shaliwa, any question? Okay. Does movies have competitors? Sorry, I'm laughing. Ah, I I don't think they have competitors because what those guys do, man. Hmm. For someone to compete, you have to do the work. I don't think they have yet, sha. But they have. They might not have direct. I mean, they have direct competitors. Yes, they have. Dribble and the rest, they are still their competitors because I mean, those guys are still doing PR, right? Like they are still their competitors in the sense that the way people go to movements for ideas is the way people go to dribbles for ideas, and some people don't know about movements. Like some people do not know about it. It's just dribble. Some people know about. Some people it's just Pinterest they know about. So in as much as it's not everybody that's using them, it means that they have competitors. So yeah, they do. Any other question? Kelvin, you were saying something. Yeah, to wrap up.
I wanted to ask if it's possible for us to get
To get what?
slides.
Oh, the slides. Okay. I'll work on it.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah. Blessing. Good evening. Any question from you? Kevin, you raise your hand. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, when you say collect reference, yeah, do you mean like the whole user flow, or you just finding for a particular collecting reference for a particular page?
It might not be the whole user flow. It might not be the whole user flow, right? It just you might just so what we'll do is just collect the onboarding, just collect the onboarding screen. What we should do is collect the onboarding, collect transaction, and then collect onboarding, collect transaction, and then collect what's it called? Accounts, the card of the accounts, the way it shows like your accounts balance and all of that. Those are the things that we should collect. Alright guys, so since there's no more question, I think that'll be all. Alright?
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Guys, I hope today's class was enlightening enough, and I hope